Have you ever felt like you were trying with all your might to put your life together, building it according to all the rules of this world, yet inside there was still a dull, ringing emptiness? The world around you constantly dictates its own rules for success. It tells you, be strong, be aggressive, never show your weaknesses, prove your superiority, take everything you can from life, and never cry. It instills in you the idea that happiness means having everything under control, having full bank accounts, and having others bow before your authority. But look where this pursuit leads. People who have achieved everything they ever dreamed of often turn out to be the loneliest and most anxious. They built a perfect set, but there is no one left living inside it. 2,000 years ago, I went up on a mountain near the Sea of Galilee. A vast crowd followed me. Tired, wounded, burnt-out people who were trying with all their strength to be right and successful in the eyes of society, but were suffocating under the weight of that burden. And the very first thing I did was completely flip their understanding of what happiness truly is. In the 5th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew, words are recorded that you have grown accustomed to calling the Beatitudes. The word blessed in the ancient language does not simply mean religious or holy. It means deeply, truly happy, someone whose happiness does not depend on external circumstances. And this is where I began. I said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Think about those words. In a world where everyone tries to appear all-knowing, strong, and self-sufficient, I call the poor in spirit happy. Who are they? They are not people without a mind or character of their own. A person who is poor in spirit is someone who found the courage to strip away the mask of perfection. It is someone who honestly admitted to themselves and to me, I can't handle this on my own. My strength isn't enough. I am empty and I need help. As long as you pretend that you have everything under control, my power cannot enter your life. You can only fill a cup that is empty. Spiritual poverty is not weakness. It is the only point of honesty from which the real healing of your soul begins. Then I said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." The world teaches you to hide your pain, to drown it out with entertainment, work, or alcohol, and to smile when everything inside is collapsing. But I say to you, do not be afraid of your tears. Blessed are those who know how to feel compassion, for themselves and for others. Those whose hearts have not turned to stone, who have not grown cold from the wounds they've endured. Tears are not a defeat. They are proof that your soul is still alive. And I personally promise to comfort everyone who isn't afraid to be sincere in their pain. I said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." It seems to you that the arrogant, loud, and ruthless inherit the earth. But meekness is not helplessness. Meekness is a colossal strength brought under complete control. It is when you have the power to strike back, to destroy an offender with a word, but you choose peace and mercy instead. The arrogant and aggressive destroy everything around them and ultimately burn out themselves. The meek preserve themselves and inherit the world. I spoke to them about those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, about the merciful, the pure in heart, and the peacemakers. Look at this list. The world considers all of these qualities to be weaknesses, but they are precisely what creates a core within you that no external storm can break. This is the true architecture of your soul. And at the end of this conversation on the mountain, I turned to the disciples and told them two things. You are the salt of the earth, and you are the light of the world. What is salt used for? In the ancient world, there were no refrigerators. Salt was the only way to preserve meat from decaying. And salt gives flavor even to the blands of food. If you accept my values, you become this salt. You step into places where everything is falling apart and decaying from malice, and you bring preservation there. You bring meaning and flavor to where people have lost all hope. But remember, if salt loses its saltiness, it becomes useless. Stop blending in with this world. Do not be afraid to be different. You are the light. And a light is not hidden under a basket. A light is placed on a stand so that it gives light to everyone in the house. Your good deeds, your calm in the midst of panic, your ability to forgive. This is not about pride. It is a light that shows others the way out of the dark. Stop building your life on other people's expectations and rules of successful success. Stop being afraid of appearing weak. True strength begins right where you realize your need for me. Have you ever had moments where everything on the outside of your life looks completely fine and peaceful, but inside you, a real war is raging? On the outside, you are polite. You smile at people, follow all the rules and laws, and do nothing criminal. But inside, in the deepest places of your thoughts, resentment boils, a desire for revenge burns, or jealousy slowly eats you away. Most people are used to judging themselves only by their external actions. They tell themselves, I haven't killed anyone, I haven't stolen, I'm a good person. But Jesus on the mountain descends far deeper than outward actions. He goes where no human court can ever look, into your secret motives and innermost thoughts. I said to them, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Think about this truth. Murder never happens in an instant. It begins long before the physical act. It is born the moment you erase the value of another human being in your mind. When you say in your heart, you fool, or when you harbor toxic malice and play out scenarios of revenge in your head, suppressed aggression and hidden contempt are a slow poison that you drink yourself, hoping your offender will die. You can keep your hands clean, but if your heart is filled with anger, you are already destroying your soul. Then I raised the bar even higher and spoke about the purity of one's gaze. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Betrayal, infidelity, and the destruction of relationships never happen by accident. They start with a harmless flirtation in your mind, with a glance you allowed to linger, or with a comparison you entertained in your thoughts. Sin always begins as a small thought. If you don't stop it at the doorway of your mind, it becomes a feeling. The feeling becomes an action, and the action becomes your destiny. That is precisely why I spoke such metaphorical, yet drastic words. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. I was not calling for self-mutilation. I was speaking about a radical hygiene of your soul. If there is something in your life, social media accounts, movies, environment, or habits that consistently poisons your thoughts and drags you down, cut it off without regret. It is better to give up a questionable pleasure or a toxic relationship than to let them burn away your inner peace. But the hardest test lay ahead when I spoke about revenge and how to treat your enemies. Since childhood, you've been taught the rule of justice, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Stand up for yourself, hit back, destroy the person who hurt you. But look where that leads. The rule of an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. It's an endless, closed loop of pain, where every offense spawns a new act of revenge. I proposed a revolution in their thinking. Do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. What is the 2nd mile? At that time, a Roman soldier had the legal right to force any Jewish citizen to carry his heavy equipment pack for exactly 1 mile. It caused deep hatred and resentment. But when you voluntarily say, I will carry your pack a 2nd mile, you shatter the abuser's script. You cease to be a victim. You take control of the situation into your own hands, responding to coercion with freedom and magnanimity. And finally, I said something that human reason still struggles to comprehend. Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who persecute you. To love an enemy does not mean feeling warm emotions or enduring abuse. To love is a deliberate choice, not to become the very dragon that attacked you. It is choosing to wish them healing and light rather than destruction. For your heavenly Father causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love only those who love you, what makes you special? Even the most ruthless people know how to do that. The true maturity of your soul is measured not by how you act with your friends, but by what happens inside you when you are betrayed and struck. Stop fighting hidden wars inside your head. Clean up the places where no one can see. Your thoughts, your glances, and your secret motives. Have you ever felt like you are constantly playing a role on stage, trying to earn the approval of those around you, while secretly exhausting yourself with fear of tomorrow? We live in a world of perfect facades. People are used to displaying everything, their successes, their good deeds, their flawless lives. It feels like if others don't see and appreciate our efforts, everything we do loses its meaning. But behind this endless chase for likes, recognition, and status, there is always a deep-seated anxiety. What if it all collapses tomorrow? What if I don't have enough? What if I'm left with nothing? In the 6th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew, I reveal the key secret to breaking free from this double trap, from the hunger for human approval and from the paralyzing fear of the future. I said to them, "Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. When you do good just to be praised, you have already received your full reward, the cheap, fleeting validation of the crowd that evaporates in a minute. That is spiritual narcissism. When you give to the needy, forgive, or help someone, do not announce it with trumpets. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. True good is what happens in secret between you and God. And your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." The same applies to your conversations with me. Do not be like those who love to recite grand, lengthy speeches in public just to appear holy. They don't need God. They need an audience. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. You don't need to impress me with complex phrases or repeat the same words over and over. I know what you need before you even open your mouth. Prayer is not an attempt to persuade God or demand something by force. It is simply a child talking to a loving Father. That is why I gave you a simple framework containing everything your mind needs. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Think about this prayer. There are no requests for immense wealth 10 years down the road. There is a request for daily bread for this day. A request for the ability to live here and now, for daily trust, and for the readiness to release other people's debts so that your own soul remains free. And then I addressed the very thing that grips the hearts of most people: financial anxiety and fear of the future. I said to them, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Everything you desperately cling to in this material world is subject to time, crises, and decay. If your self-worth and security are tied to bank balances, real estate, or status, you are doomed to live in constant fear of losing it all. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. Why do you consume yourself with anxiety? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Fear of tomorrow does not solve tomorrow's problems. It only steals today's strength. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Stop trying to control what isn't yours. Stop hoarding fears and pretending to be someone you're not just to please people. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things, your clothing, food, security, and peace, will be given to you as well. Have you ever looked at the life around you, at the mistakes and misdeeds of others, and felt a wave of righteous anger rising within you, while your own problems suddenly seemed insignificant? And so, I am approaching the conclusion of the Sermon on the Mount. The disciples and the crowd had been listening to me for a long time. I had gone through everything with them, from the motives of their hearts to the fear of tomorrow. And in chapter 7 of the Gospel of Matthew, I hold up the ultimate mirror to them. I began with a stern warning. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Human psychology is wired this way. We love playing the judge. When we condemn others, we momentarily feel better, cleaner, and superior. But it is an illusion. When you greedily fixate on the flaws of others, you are simply trying to escape your own inner pain. I asked them, and why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Imagine the scene. A person with a massive, heavy log sticking out of their eye, trying to remove a tiny speck from their neighbor's eye with a microscope. It looks absurd, yet that is exactly what most human conflicts look like. Condemnation is an attempt to fix the world around you without changing anything inside yourself. Hypocrite! First, remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Heal your inner world first, and your view of others will transform from harsh judgment into compassion. Then I revealed to them the laws of spiritual seeking and responsibility. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. But remember, the path to a true, transformed life is never wide and smooth. I warned them. Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. Because narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Walking the broad road means drifting with the current, reacting impulsively, repaying offense with offense, hoarding wealth for status, and judging everyone around you. It's easy. But that path leads to spiritual death. The narrow path requires mindfulness, discipline, and the courage to choose love over anger and truth over lies every single day. And at the very end, I summarized everything we had spoken about on that mountain. I told them the parable of the two builders. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock, and the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell. And great was its fall. Reflect on these words. Both men built a house. Both houses likely looked equally beautiful while the sun was shining. But the difference between them wasn't revealed in fair weather. It was revealed when the storm came. Storms, crises, illness, loss, betrayal will come into everyone's life. No one is immune. The only question is, what is the foundation of your soul built upon? If your house is built on the sand of other people's opinions, accumulated wealth, personal ambitions, and the illusion of control, the very first serious crisis will wash it away without a trace. But if your life is built on the rock, on trust in me, on the ability to forgive, on honesty with yourself, and on living out my words in reality. No storm can destroy you. You will stand firm. The Sermon on the Mount is not just a beautiful teaching. It is the architectural blueprint of your soul. Stop judging others. Stop building illusions on sand. Take the first step onto the narrow path and lay your foundation on the rock that no storm in this world can move. There is always a place at my table for the one who is ready to end senseless disputes and start rebuilding their life anew.